Hello everyone and welcome to a kind of making of video which I've not rehearsed, I've not done anything, it's just me and a beer talking through all the clips that I used on the trailer, which I was so proud of putting together. I just wanted to do a little making of, so we'll be running through the games that come on. I'll be chatting toot for the next God knows how long. This is Alien Hominoid that's on the screen at the moment, actually for PS2. Crazy fun game, especially in multiplayer. Always good to be the alien. Reminds me of Destroy All Humans, only cuter and in 2D, but with more blood and death and tears and everything. So that's one. This is Frequency or Amplitude? I can't remember. Love this song on it though, but this was Harmonix before they made Rock Band and all of those kind of things, back when it was on a controller. Loved those games. So glad it made a comeback with Rock Band, actually. Rock Band Blitz, wasn't it? Let's get this beer open. Let's get a quick sippy of that. Love my music games, as you may well tell on this channel already. Cheers everyone. So, yeah, a little bit about me and my wonderful music background. This is Ni no Kuni for the PS3 RPG. I've still yet to finish, but I'm thoroughly enjoying playing it. Love the Studio Ghibli elements of it. I do love Studio Ghibli films actually as well. I've got all of the collection apart from the ones that have come out like on Poppy Hill or something. That's not quite got to the UK yet, so I shall grab that up and snuffle it. But yes, my gaming interests quite heavily rely on rhythm action games before all the peripherals came out as well. Peripherals, I think, made it become some big boom thing, and now it's died a mini bit of a death, but actually I think rhythm action games deserve their place in the gaming world, as do indie platformers. I do love an indie game, especially a platformer or a puzzle, and when it's the two combined like Thomas Was Alone, love, big love for that game. And the guy Mike on Twitter is always fun, always playing Lego, which I think must be where this brick thing comes from. Just recently bought the PS3 version, which has got the developer's commentary on it. Really interesting to hear someone actually go through and talk about their game in a really critical way. Actually, it's very critical of what he's done, despite the game being pretty damn awesome. One of the things I got annoyed with whilst doing this trailer, as my chair creaks away, is I didn't have my Spectrum to hand, nor did I have my Wii running properly, so I had to get some of the older games that I like to play in, and this is Bubbles, which is Bubbles, a very old game about trying to capture everything before it goes in the sink. I wished I'd had my Spectrum to hand though, because I really wanted to do a video of a game called Molar Mouth, which is where you play as a toothbrush and you go round and you have to stop the decay from eating the teeth and turning them black. G1 Jockey, I love these games, but I'm so terrible at them, as even this tiny clip will show. I must admit, I wasn't really playing the games when I just literally had a stack of 120 games to one side. I was desperately trying to get through them as quickly as possible, because I'd done the trailer within 2 or 3 evenings after work, of just ripping stuff and then deciding how do I want to arrange it and things like that. So yes, you'll notice the gameplay on these clips are rubbish, but you might spark an interest or two. Destruction Derby 2. Interestingly, if you like the soundtrack, which is proper thrash metal, this game is an audio red book, which is where you can stick the CDs in and go crazy with the actual soundtrack itself, which is fantastic. Jug, I think it is, that done that. They've also done V-Rally 3, the soundtrack for that. Random factoid. But that's another common theme that you'll find on this channel and with me in general. I love racing games. Again, not fantastic at them, especially I love getting into sim racing, and before I cleaned the channel up there was a lot of sim racing stuff in here with R Factor and me commentating over it and putting it to music, which had to come down, licensing rights, blah 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 blah. But I do love sim racing. Terrible at it. Run a team called Backmarker Brigade. Our mascot is a snail called Meep. Says it all really. Root beer tapper. I wanted to pay some homage to some of the really, really old games, and this is such a simple thing. I don't even think we're going to see much gameplay, if any at all, but you get the idea with that one. Super Rubber Dub. 6-axis controlling. My mind is set on motion controlling, in that if it's done properly, it is absolutely fantastic. And this is one where it's a gimmicky use of the 6-axis motion, but it works really well and it's very responsive and it does exactly what it says on the tin. I get slightly frustrated with what I keep seeing people call waggleware, which is normally a bit Wii related, where you just end up just throwing things around, not really sure why you're doing it. From Dust, little homage to Populous, I think. Beautiful, beautiful game. The lava graphics. I kept reading interviews about the guy where he studied lava, and where it comes from. And sorry, not where it comes from, but how it moves down mountainous and stuff like that, to make sure that he got the fluid dynamics right. And such a beautiful game. Again, another one I've still yet to complete. I have a problem with this. I do start games and never quite get to the end of a lot of them because I'm like a fatty in a candy shop. I just keep more. This is Ape Escape for the PS2. Strangely, they seemed to reboot the Ape Escape series, didn't they, for PS2? Because the first one that came out would actually be Ape Escape 2, but they just renamed it Ape Escape again, I think. Or am I talking... Now I'm talking rubbish. I'm looking at my collection now. That's a franchise that needs to come back, doesn't it? What you won't find on my channel is shoot 'em ups in general. Doesn't do it for me at all. Never has, never will. This is Mr. Driller, PS1 game. Got a soundtrack to this game actually as well. A man called Shingo. Or Goshina, sorry. So I got into gaming... Beer is good. Right the way back when my dad had a ZX Spectrum, and up until I turned, how old? 9, 10? I was only allowed to play computer games on the weekend. How cruel is that? This is a very quick clip of Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge, I think. Because I just wanted to catch the game moving for like the split second clip that you get of it. Monkey Island games are great, even the new ones, which I know is a bit of an unpopular thing to say. And this game that's coming up now is Project Diva, which I'm such a big fan of Miku and all of her games. Probably give you ribbed for ages for that. It's rhythm action at its best. How can you deal with it? But yes, I was only allowed to play games on a Saturday or Sunday, and I used to come down, sneak down early in the morning during the daytimes, so that I could try and climb on a game. And I remember my dad coming home, and I'd be like, "Dad, I've just completed Sonic the Hedgehog." And he'd be like, "How long did that take you?" And I'd go, "Oh, just under 2 hours this time." And he'd go, "Right, but it's time for you to come off then and be sociable." I sound like such an old fogey. Oh, I'm not even 30 yet. This is Bish Bash Special. God, there needs to be more games like this. Why are there not more games like this? I suppose times have changed and it's all about the realism and the polygons, but that's why I was quite interested in the Ouya. I'm proper bouncing around topic. I'm sorry, you're going to have to deal with this for like the next hour. But it's what the Ouya kind of impressed on me, as this is Stunt Racer. Jeff Crammond, his first game before he'd done the Grand Prix series. Yeah, because with the Ouya it's indie titles and it's not focused on the graphics, it's focused on the gameplay, local multiplayer, something that is slowly coming back to us all. Woo! Loving the graphics there. That's Moho, I think. Oh, sorry, Mojo for the PS2. I do like to try and pick up unusual games for my channel as well, which is why, as we get on, I'll bring it up later on when they come up, making consoles region specific is such a bugbear of mine, because actually some of the real niche games only come out in certain locations. In general, that comes up with Japanese games, which is great because I've managed to get myself, or work out how to get a Japanese PSN account, and I've been slowly buying PS1 titles that you'd never get the light of day of over here. This is Buster Groove, as it's known in the UK. Such an amazing dancing beat 'em up. Could it get any better? Yeah, so Japanese games are very like a rare source of commodity, but it's not just that. There's a PS3 game that's only been released in France and Germany, I think, called Ubut Pentake or Pentanique or something. It's basically bowls, like, but not as in bowls as in bowling. It's like bowls as in balls, which is, well, loud. Old man sport. I can quite imagine France and Germany releasing a weird croquet game. IK Plus. I lost hours to this game as a child, but on the Spectrum version. Because with the Spectrum you'd have to load up the cassette tapes for like 10 minutes, and then up would come a little stick man. But IK Plus, the first free player that I remember anyway, fighting game. Primal Rage. I remember renting Primal Rage, actually. Do you remember when you used to rent games? Poor Blockbuster Video. What happened to them? But there used to be Blockbuster where I live, and there was like an independent thing. And I used to end up taking the game to the independent man store, and he would pop it in, and we'd have a little kick around just to see what was like the latest games that he'd have in, because he was always a step behind everyone else. But he was always willing to have a knockabout. You wouldn't get that in. It's not as if you could walk into game and go, oh, can you just stick that in so I can have a quick look at it before you play? I suppose playable demos and downloadable stuff kind of negates a little bit of that now. But it's a shame. Evil Zone, quite possibly one of the more perviest beat-em-ups there's ever been that's graced this earth. Strange 2 buttons only as well in that game that are utilised for fighting and defence. No wonder it didn't take off. It's an amazing experience. This is Dyad, which was start off a PS3 exclusive. I know it's on Steam now. Such a beautiful game, and all the work of one person as well. I'm all about giving stuff to the small guys, the little guys. It's where the creativity stems from, because where companies have taken on such massive projects these days, it's too much of a risk, I think, for them, because they stake so much money on it that I think eventually, if it continues the way how it goes, you'll end up with a very poor middle ground where you won't very often get games that are really well developed, that have a specific concept or a specific goal, that look fantastic and have great graphics and sit in the middle collecting a decent return but not really taking the box office. And you'll have these big box office Call of Duties and FIFAs and so on, and then you'll have all these little indie titles that will make powerhouses because they have such low head costs. Sims Castaway. Don't know if this Castaway edition actually done very well. This game I don't think certainly did either, but it's amazing. Muppets Party Cruise. One of the best drunk 4-player action games you can ever find, I swear. Bingo! There is an entire game on this related to the fact that it just shouts, "Stinky cheese!" You do need to be drunk to play it, which kind of inspires me to go and get another beer in a minute. Poor Miss Piggy. A complete change of contrast. His Journey, which is an absolutely stunningly beautiful game. I've done one of those playthroughs of it, where I kind of voiced the character. One of those moments that I'm sure sounded better in my head than what it did in an actual video. But if someone wants to see the entire Journey game from start to finish, with me getting far too emotionally caught up in it, you're more than welcome to check it out on the channel. That is what I'm talking about with games being in the middle. You don't often see a game that is so committed to something and a specific path, but has all the aesthetics with it as well. Such a rarity. This is IndyCar 2005 by Codemasters. And me quite clearly not driving properly at all. Had 2 iterations, that game. Good fun. IndyCars and oval racing in general has never really taken off over here. It's great that we're finally getting the NASCAR games coming over, and even this year's has actually come over in the right year. Shock. This is Devil Dice, or is it Bombastic? I can't. No, it's Bombastic, which is its sequel on the PS2. Oh my god, I love this game to pieces. What I didn't realise was the backstory behind it though. Does anyone remember Net Yaroz, which was where Sony released its PlayStation 1, where people could actually build their games and submit them in, and they would end up on the official PlayStation demo disc. This was the biggest success from that, because they actually built the game on Net Yaroz, and it got taken on as a real game in the end and was released. It had a couple of sequels in Japan, and then it had a worldwide release on PS2 as a sequel called Bombastic, at least it was called over here. Amazing Devil Dice. 5-player puzzle killer. I wanted to include a Sonic game on this montage because I just bought a Sega Master System and Mega Drive. And my friends had Nintendo, so I always went for the other option just because they had the other stuff, and I could get over to my mate's house and play all of their SNES and NES games. And so I thought, right, well, I'll just abuse you when I go round to your house and I'll have a Sega thing. But I didn't want to go for an obvious choice with Sonic. So yeah, that's the reason why that specific Sonic Blast game, I think it is used. This is Aqua Panic, a game I'm currently stuck on about level 24 or 25. I should really check up an FAQ as to why. Again, I think this game was originally on the Wii. But it's colourful, it's a puzzle, it's something you can pick up and put down whenever you want. Annoying music that you will grow to love, like Loco Roco style. This is the Plants vs Zombies pinball table for Zen Pinball 2. I am notoriously terrible at pinball games, but I can't get enough of them. I don't know why. You've also got the Pinball Arcade, haven't you, on the PlayStation, where every 2 weeks there's another 2 tables for a £4 that you buy. I don't think I've ever completed all of the challenges on any of the table. I really need to learn that actually don't just flap the things up and down and just go, ah, like you're freaking out. Dance Dance Revolution. This is a Disney version, but Dance Dance Revolution was the only game that I remember as a child, or as a teenager, sorry, and going into college, playing in public. We had, in my town, a Sega park. Didn't last very long, only a couple of years. And it'd be me as a fatty, clearly not made for a proper dance mat, flolling along like, oh dear, I must have looked the right state. I still do, to be honest, when I get on a dance mat. Not good at all. Now what's this game? It's not Robotron, is it? What game is it? Cybertron, not Robotron, idiot. Yeah, four-way shooters, and you see this kind of thing now coming out with the Oregon Trail and stuff like that, where you kind of get little homages to those types of games. This is Harmful Park, and this is an example of why I think consoles should be region free, because this is a magnificent, cute, scrolling shoot 'em up. Why anyone outside of Japan would never have been able to play this, I have no idea. And it's strange because this kind of genre you'd think would lend itself well to just localization, because really what have they got to do? Just localize the main menu. But so much originality, so much cuteness and character, lost on the rest of the world. Such a shame. Raw Danger. Now I had to include this. If anyone knows me outside of this website, I'm a massive fan of disaster movies, and I run ilovedisastermovies.com, which is just me slating and laughing and getting drunk and talking all about disaster movies. Shock horror. Raw Danger is a disaster game. It's a sequel to SOS: The Final Escape, but Raw Danger was never released officially in the UK, and so I had to import it from France. Again, what are the French doing with weird games? No idea. But it is amazing, and I think the UK has probably been a little bit pussy-whipped because they were sensitive maybe after 9/11 and so on over stuff. Who knows? Who knows? This is Constructor, one of my favourite building-y type sims. Terrible at it though, terrible at it. But I do like the fat builders and everything, and the hello that you get from the people that answer the phones. Marble Madness. Has anyone actually completed Marble Madness on the final maze? I don't remember I ever have done so. It's really funny because the difficulty level just ramps up all of a sudden on the very last level. You just think, what did I do to deserve this? Because the rest of the game I can just breeze through quite happily. Apart from that bit there. Wipe it up. But yeah. Oh, it brings back memories. I was just sitting there watching it going, that ice bit. And the silly stage where you're going up instead of down. Now this is Curry Curry Mix, and this will be featured actually in not too distant a future, because I quite fancy having a good row with someone on multiplayer, because you have to. It's cooperative, so you have to help each other out. I'm trying to play this with both, because you can do it single player and have half the controller for each person of the Curry and Curry. It's I forget their names now, but it's something stupid like Poppy and Cream. Cream is definitely one of them. But oh my god, the rows you have with people, and you're like, just open the barriers! I'm being killed by an alligator. I had to include Formula 1. Not the menu screen. Apologies, I've just literally chopped 30 to 40 seconds of stuff everywhere on here. Because before Game Was Game, it's called Electronic Boutique. And I remember being left up in the town centre where I live. And my mum and dad would go off and do the shopping, and I'd just sit and stand outside the door staring at the demo, the rolling demo, like a little sad orphaned child. Looking a little bit pathetic, it must be said. Dreaming that I would get that game one day, and then a couple of years later I was able to do so. And actually, when we bought our PlayStation, this is Final Fantasy IX, which I think is still my favourite Final Fantasy. Unpopular opinion, I know. I just love the characters and the world in it. But yes, when I bought my PlayStation 1 for Christmas one year, we didn't actually have a telly that could run it because we still had all the old things that you'd plug an AV aerial into the back. We didn't have an RPG or anything like that, and it just couldn't work. So we then had to buy out and club together to buy a new TV. Proper upgrade myself that day. These games where I've gone right the way back, this Badlands and New Sort of Bubbles as well, and Cybertron, they're all part of the Midway Arcade Classics series. There were 3 titles that I think came out of that. And I think they're looking at kind of re-releasing these as a... They're doing it with Capcom, aren't they? Capcom Arcade Cabinet. Don't need to. Apologies, there's no actual gameplay on that. Dog's Life! Ah! I smell poo! What a fantastic concept. People that designed this game made this game genius. Genius. Excellent characterization as well. Reminds me of a slightly sinister Disney film. Making dogs sausages. Actually, not too far off the normal everyday scandals. They could have just made that game with a horse. Horse's life. Oh dear. So this is Poi Poi. Multiplayer arena action. I do like a little bit of local multiplayer. I'm not so much of a fan of online gaming as what I thought I would be. And I think it's because it's very impersonal and people just go out of their way to play poorly. I don't know why, but I expected a better standard of fairness in the gaming online because you've all bought to play the game. And I don't know, people seem to go out there to ruin everyone's life, which is why games like Trackmania and things like that work really well because there's no collisions when you're racing, and so people being idiots doesn't really matter too much. This is Rhythm Happy Rhythm Busters. I'll get there eventually. Unfortunately, it looks like you're only going to see the menu on that game. Don't know what on earth I was doing there. Hopefully you'll get some gameplay in the last 2 seconds. No, you won't. Hello. So I never owned a GameCube, which I thought really sucked. My sister's husband had a GameCube though, which kept me well amused. So I got these GameCube games, although this is a PS2 version of Wet Tricks. I've kind of had to go back on my GameCube gaming through buying a Wii, which I think is fantastic that the Wii has backwards compatibility. Another one of my big pros for the world is backwards compatibility. I think it's a real shame that we turn our backs on previous genres just because we're told to. I completely understand why people would want to push forward. This is Sin and Punishment. Made by Treasure. Treasure do a lot of these types of awesome games. And yeah, I think there's something to be said for actually, you know what, you can upgrade your packages and everything that you've just invested and you've bought with us beforehand. You're a valued customer, so therefore you can take all that with you. Instead of then trying to fleece me out of HD packages, which I desperately try to not buy. There's only a couple of them that I have bought, and that's because I really want to see Zone of the Enders. Apparently it's fixed all the frame rate issues and things, so actually it's going to feel like a brand new game. But yeah, Non-backwards compatibility annoys me. Same as games that you can only play online as well, because very soon those servers get shut down and all of a sudden you've got an empty game that you'll never actually be able to do. That was Croc, Lara Croft's Kid style. Alex Kidd keeps popping up in all those Sonic games, like Sonic Transformed. I wonder if he'll ever grace our lovely world of consoles again. Same with California Games. I spent hours with this. I had an obsession as a child, because I used to have California Games, Olympic Gold, if people remember that. I think that features on here, and the Lilyhammer Winter Olympics. And do you remember the Epix company? They used to have their own like Summer Challenge and Winter Challenge games. I was obsessed with those types of games. And what I'd do is I'd type in all my friends' names as the players, and then I'd score. I'd try and do my best, and they would have like championships, and the top person would get 10, then 9, 8, 7, 6. I was a very imaginative child. I'd like to say I was nearly an only child, but I did have an older brother and sister. They obviously didn't like me enough because I had to be that imaginative. Tekken is probably my favourite beat-em-up franchise. Jun is definitely my favourite character. So annoyed that they killed her off after Tekken 2 and then kind of went, oh no, she had quite a fan base, so then she comes back essentially as unknown in 4. And thankfully you've got the Tekken tag battles that come out now, where really plot and storyline, as flimsy as it was in all the other ones, really don't matter at all, so everyone just comes out for those. Next up is a very quick glimpse, I think, of Theme Park, purely because I wanted to say that bouncy castle looks like 4 cocks having a wank. Ah, chiptune heaven. But Streets of Rage. Is it not? Yeah, it is. Again, this type of genre is making a comeback in the indie world. With Steam, Desera, and it's kind of like humble indie bundles, which are fantastic to spread their cause. This is Audio Surf, which I believe is one of my most played PC games of all time. I still crack it out, especially because now Last FM you scrubble with it, can't you? Get a bit precious about my Last FM scrubbles. I also quite like, because I do music in my spare time as well, along with this. I like to push my own songs through to see if they're going to be ones that trigger off lots of sounds or not, lots of blocks or not. And if it's all a bit boring, I'm like thinking, how can I jazz this up slightly, this song, just so I can play it on Audio Surf. This is Battle Construction Vehicles. Completely unknown, weirdo beat 'em up, or crane 'em up, I suppose. This will definitely make an appearance because its story mode is ridiculous. They try and turn it into some kind of like Japanese mafia problem. Rainbow Islands! Now, I originally was, I think this is the Master System. My Master System plays games, in fact so does my Mega Drive, and to some extent my Spectrum as well, plays games in a much better condition than my PS1 because of obviously the laser stuff, so cartridges have a much better lifespan. This is Populous. Can't remember if it's Populous or the sequel, Populous 2 Two Tribes. I think it's the original. Again, lost hours to that game. Couldn't tell you if I ever actually done any good. They're endless, aren't they? Sound shapes, such an amazing concept for a game. I really need to get into the online community of this, where people have made levels out of all the different sounds, just to see what people get up to. In the same way that you do with Little Big Planet, you kind of have that immediate, I want to check out everyone's level, and then you forget that new content is going out all the time. It's one of those games that I really need to revisit, and so on and so forth. One of the very few games I've got a platinum trophy for, he said proudly. So this is Roller Coaster Rampage, where you essentially drive your roller coaster to collect various points and do various things, and don't make it crash, and don't crash into yourself. I love innovation in gaming and new ideas. When I was a child, I wrote a letter to Codemasters, of all places, as this is Trials, obviously, basically saying I want to get in the gaming industry, and I still have their reply letter, and I was only about 11 when I wrote that. I've always kind of kept it in my little treasure box, and it says, oh well, these are great. And I don't know why, I'd submitted all these ideas as well. I was like, you could have this, you could have that. And one of the things, it's still not been done, and I still secretly think it's a really good idea. And it's a psychological horror, like runaway game, very similar to actually what I then played, like the Clock Tower series, as this is Kessen, or is it? Yes, it's Kessen. Or is it? No, it might be Bladestorm. Oh, it's one of those. Yes, this game design is. It was called Mannequin. You was basically trying to run away from a mannequin that had come to life and decided it wanted to kill you, but you alternated between two characters, and what you had to do was basically the mannequin had paralysed one of these characters, so you had to. It was just when analog sticks had just come into the fray and Ape Escape had just came out. Oh, conquer! And you're basically, one of your characters was wheelchair bound, so that you had to use the analog sticks to try and get this wheelchair character around, and they had a bit of clunky manoeuvrability, but had much better speed than the one that would be running around, that could hide in better places and stuff like that. And it would almost be a pick the location to hide best, and the vibration pack, which is used to much better effect now than what it was then. As this is Zombies, I love this game to pieces. Thank you so much to my sister's husband for buying me this as a Christmas present in like 1997, 98, something like that. But yes, I think concepts like anything that is innovative and tries out a new idea should be celebrated. And I've got lots of them. I just don't have the power and the brain to actually invent them and do it. I do have a how to do an idiot's guide to Java, I think it is. It will never happen. I have bought RPG Maker though, so clearly that's going to make me an amazing game. I may still do something with it though. I do like tinkering. I just need to find the time. So Parappa, again, those old rhythm games shining through quite happily. He needs to come back. We need a Parappa 3 or an Jamalami 2 or a Sunny SingStar or something. I loved that world. Things were innocent. Things didn't have to be a skull being ripped apart in front of your eyes in order to get sales. This is the Atlanta 1996 Olympic Games game. Or I think I almost complete a hurdle run without stacking it. Jesus. Those games where your fingers would hurt because of all the button mashing you'd done. This is Tom B, or Tomba if you're in America. Purely an awesome game, not only because it's got great action to it, but you throw pigs. It's not on here actually, but there is a game on the Spectrum called Piggy Punks, which was essentially, do you remember the board game Hungry Hippos, where you just slap the like tail of the hippo and then the ball would go in its mouth, blah blah blah. It's essentially that, but with pigs on a Spectrum. Amazing, amazing. That needs a remake. I wanted to get a Tomb Raider game in. But I wanted it to be one of the old sections of it, and of the ones, the original 5 that came out on the PlayStation 1, number 4 I think was probably joint my favourite with the first one, because it was all in one location. It was actually in a tomb, all set in Egypt. They'd refined a lot of the control systems. Obviously the new ones take things a lot further and beyond now, but there was something very special, I think, about The Last Revelation. I do like party games, and Livewire is certainly one of them that's on the screen now. Essentially, colourful, eye-bleeding squares with fish. What more did you need? Although you're just getting a loading screen at the moment. I do apologise, I should have vetted a lot of this. I just clumped all the video clips into 40-second max clips and just thought I'd talk rubbish through them all. The consoles I have got as what's coming up on the screen now is that Road Rash. Just off topic because I don't think it was actually in anything. Do you remember Skitchin? Roller blading. You don't get like roller skating games these days now, do you? You don't barely get a BMX one. Very of its time in the early 90s, I think that. What kind of the now times would you, I don't know, Bieber blading. Actually, do you know what it would be? It would be I Want to Be a Z-Lister game, and it would be some horrific Sims type thing. SSX. So glad they brought this series back in the end. Deserved it. Wish that it would have better multiplayer local options. It's another matter for another day. Again, sorry for the loading screens on these, but never mind. So what actually have I got? So I've got a ZX Spectrum 3, Master System, Mega Drive, PS1, PS2, PS3, a Wii which allows me GameCube access, a PSP which lets me have the minis. This is Toma Runner, which is another Japanese only game, which is amazing, by the way. So much better than Running Wild. What else have I got? I'm seriously debating, actually, over what my next console is going to be. Sorry, I do have NES and SNES now. I picked them up on the cheap. Obviously PC. Ooh. That sounded like an amazing piece of song. This is New Zealand Story. Because, yeah, my next console, really quite fancy a 3DS, but it would have to be the XL one. I've really shied away from portable gaming. This is Metropolis Mania 2, and it's the PSP has opened my eyes actually to how far it's come along, which has been great actually, because it lines me up potentially for a Vita at a later point, but I'm not really interested in the Vita at the moment. But I am interested in a 3DS because that keeps me going on the Nintendo things, because it's got backwards compatibility with the DS. So I kill two birds with one stone with that. Again, region locked, real shame, because there's some Japanese only things that I'm really interested in, like the Project Mirai series, to name one. Pixel Junk Eden, this is. Do love a Pixel Junk game. Although if they continue with like the shooter series, I'll be slightly annoyed, because actually I was hoping that Pixel Junk would continue to be one of those real abstract gaming companies, and if they continue to go around side scrollers and shooters, you're kind of marginalising your own kind of motif. Don't know if that makes any sense. Who knows? It's 11:15 at night, and I've had quite a few beers. And I'm trying to stay very professional. This is very hard to do. Katamari! I love these games so much. I was annoyed with the PS3 one slightly because it was a rehash of old stuff as a tribute. They need to do a fresh one from scratch. They done touch my Katamari, didn't they? They should port that from Vita to PS3. So needs to be done. So yeah, I quite fancy the 3DS. The Wii U doesn't interest me much yet, but a nice juicy price drop and some decent first like company games would really make that a bit more of a prospect for me. PS4, obviously, I will grab, because now having been a Sony man for several generations, for the last gen, I was really unsure as to go for PS3 or Xbox 360. Child of Eden, one of the most beautiful games alive, by the way, that's on the screen. Gorgeousness. But this time round, for me currently, the PS4 definitely has a specific edge to it because of all of this DRM, always must be online. I know they've taken a back step on it, but it doesn't. If your company was even thinking that, you've really put me a little bit of a do you really know what you're doing? And what's to stop them then flicking it back the other way and really ruining things for us? So yeah, I'm definitely up with this one. This is Harvest Moon, the Nintendo 64. Which is one of the reasons actually why I want to get an Ouya, because I'm currently without a Nintendo 64, but I do have games for it, which is why the N64 stuff will be emulated for the time being. But with an Ouya, you get the emulator with the Ouya, don't you? But I'm waiting to see how the Ouya turns out, because it worries me with its stability issues I keep hearing people talk about, and it needs to iron itself out a wee bit before I want to go near it, which I know is a bit of a safety call or a safe bet, but yeah, I want to stay clear for the time being. It'll be one or the other. Pac-Man Rally, one of the most underrated clones of rallying going on. There's nothing wrong with cloning something if you do it right. And this is Beyond Oasis, which is a game that I actually got to back to front. I didn't know the game, but I knew the soundtrack. I'm not so much these days, but when I lived at home and I had money, I was an avid collector of computer game soundtracks, and I still do collect soundtracks when I can, but I just don't import so many anymore. because the cost of it is just so high. Gaming soundtracks are fantastic. From the traditional RPG ones, where you'd have proper things looping round. This is I Ninja that's on the screen at the moment. Amazing game, something that Mini Ninjas has taken a lot of influence from. Computer game soundtracks, I think, are quite often more evocative and more technically accomplished than most pop music. And I get the same buzz out of it. So, actually, I would say I think I've got more computer game soundtracks than I do pop music. Although my music collection or my music taste is certainly not pop. But yeah, my favourite composers definitely includes Nobuo Uematsu. This is his Fantavision. Currently the only fireworks simulator game that I know of. With the most scariest cutscenes of the evil family. It has nothing to do with the game at all, but it's just they're evil. So yeah, you've got Nobuo Uematsu, you've got Akira Yamaoka that deals with all the Silent Hill stuff and has then gone off to do his own company's music. Yasunori Mitsuda, who done Chrono Cross, Chrono Trigger, Sailing to the World, and Box Garden, which is an amazing soundtrack. I've never actually played the game. I think it's actually a visual, like novel-y child story, but amazing stuff. Konami sound team do quite a lot. There's so many. This is Mr. Mosquito. Why don't we get games like this on console now? You must suck Rena's blood. I love what Overclocked Remix do with computer game soundtracks, where they put out their own versions of some popular Sonic, Mario, Final Fantasy, and a few other wonderful remixes of stuff. Very accomplished people, and all for free as well. Crazy. So this is Music 3000. I've touched on it before that I deal with music beforehand. One of the things that got me into doing music, because I'm not that proficient at actually playing instruments, is music simulators. And you had music creation for the PlayStation, and this is like the third iteration of that was on the PS2. But I also used to play with the EJ series on the PC. I don't know if people remember that. You'd get all the different samples, just very similar to what's on the screen now, and you'd put them all in place. You could do some minor effects and some chopping and changing, but you'd have to try very hard to actually make something sound terrible. And that kind of got me really introduced to music. So without these types of simulators, I don't think I'd have that hobby, and I certainly wouldn't have it nearly as strongly as what I do currently now. So I owe quite a lot to those types of things, because I think they were really clever and quite instrumental in me finding that as a hobby. This is Myst 3 Exile. Myst, the original game, kind of pushed point and clicks right out into the fore. But I love again, it's real actors doing things, something you don't see so much these days because it's quite often quite cringeworthy. But I kind of like to see that these types of games have been little mini seedlings, perhaps, of what we get now with things like Heavy Rain and Beyond and so on. Cheeky Codemasters before they went all let's make every game drift happy. Oh, Micro Machines. I used to rent this at weekends at a time. I probably spent more renting the Micro Machine games than I did when I actually bought the damn things. Used to be $1.99 or $2.99 for a weekend, or 5 days. Crazy, eh? Baked beans! This is Tetrasphere, which is very similar to Tetris, but actually in a sphere. Wouldn't you? Who would have guessed that one?
It's a big advantage.
Oh.
But you know.
No, I didn't realise that.
But if we were to have 3 days on the track, that
I was clearly watching Formula 1 when that
Thanks
game was playing. But this is and so it moves, which is where you actually move the game around you, as opposed to actually moving yourself or doing the both. So again, indie games, great take on something, which is fantastic. This is Field Runners, which is Tower Defence, which is a relatively new genre, but deserves to have its place because actually they are fantastic games. This is STCC, isn't it? No, it's not. What am I talking about? This is Race 07 with some of the extra downloady bits and bobs. Again, this is showing my penchant and my love for sim racing, because I can sit and go round in last position for hours on end quite happily with no worry at all. This is Plants vs Zombies, obviously. Do like a plant, do like a zombie. Not so sure on what's going to happen with the sequels. I was very intrigued and very interested in that weird let's make Plants vs Zombies a first person shooter. I can't see how that. Well, I can see how it would work. I don't know if it's going to sell very well though, because it's such an amazingly strange concept. Which I really hope it does sell well and it works for them. This is Bollywood Wannabe, one of my favourite complete indie rhythm action games, because it's not really too much about the rhythm. At least not in these types of levels anyway. Plus, who would not like that drum beat going on? So I miss these types of games as well. They've kind of faded away because they're but ugly, but actually full of gameplay. This is Trap Runner on the PS1. Local multiplayer again, dying commodity, which I really hope is going to come back in the next console generation. Set traps and try and kill each other, but within the same room. Shock. This is Zone of the Enders 2. Bit icy. Bit chilly. I remember people buying this game just for the... sorry, not this one, the first one, wasn't it? Where it was coupled with the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo. And everyone's like, oh, we've only bought it just for the demo. And people that done that, and then if they never actually bothered to play the game, missing out so much. The Zone of Enders franchise, magnificent. So worthy. Here is for Gravity. I've only just really started getting into this game. I've had it for a while, but it's just been on my to play list, and thoroughly enjoyed it.
I didn't quite get that. It was something about 100th race.
Yeah, do 100 races.
That risk versus reward. A bit like gambling. Oh, that's splat.
It's amazing that the time's gone by so quickly. 100 Grand Prix.
Not a good move. And this is Everblue. Not enough games take place undersea, I don't think. Could do with a little bit of nicer graphical feel, but certainly does the job. So, on a complete side note, I'm going to be hitting. This is Guitar Man, who's one of my all-time favourite games. Again, rhythm action, but crazy from start to finish. We're going to be hitting 10 million views total over our entire lifetime. I know it only say about 5 point something actually live on the site, but with all the videos that I've taken down, it comes to 10 million. And that should hit about the 3rd or 4th of August. So I'm planning something for that weekend, the fruits of which you may not see that very weekend itself, but we're going to be doing something where there's going to be an absolute ton of different videos and games all coming out onto the website. We'll do some reviews. We're going to make a big song and dance over it, because actually I'm really proud of being able to get that far, and thanks to you guys. It's been fantastic. It's been a good show, and it's great to see the same people commenting on things. I'm really looking forward, actually, going forward. Really looking forward going forward. That's a lot of forward motion that is going on. Yeah, I can't wait to get to know some of you all a little bit better. I'm on Twitter. You can all follow me at Sitorimon, Sitorimon. I also run HigherPlain Music, which is all about indie games and indie artists. You've just missed Puzzle Dimension was the bowl rolling game. This is Medieval, Dan Fortescue. I wonder if he'll ever make a comeback at some point. I noticed that they only do HD collections of the last gen. They don't seem to bother too much about diving this far back. Maybe PS1s were more difficult to code or something. This is Magical Drop 5. Now this is a good little series that's made a comeback. I've not really had much of the Magical Drops. I know definitely the first 3 came out in the PS1 era.
And I think so. The person that's going to win is the guy who has the best control over the tires as a team, yeah. And we know that's not our strength.
But yeah, that shows that actually, because I think that this Magical Drop actually done quite well in terms of sales. That actually, you know what, reviving genres properly or reviving IPs properly, if you give it enough attention, love and care, it can be rewarded quite handsomely. And I think Magical Drop is one of those versions of doing that. This is Wipeout, which you wonder actually, is Wipeout ever going to see the light of day again now that they've shut the studio down? Bizarrely, I don't know, bizarre by name, bizarre by nature, but yes, never quite made that decision or worked out that decision at all. Wipeout is synonymous with PlayStation and Sony. It was this kind of look that birthed the PlayStation as a whole, so I'm really surprised that they could even consider going away from it. This is a cutscene from Fear Effect 2. Notable franchise, sadly, for having lesbians in it, not for the fantastic graphics, noir film setting, and well, not noir film, but like cel-shaded noir setting, and actually bloody difficult gameplay. Deserved so much more than just being flamed for having lesbians as the main protagonists. I love the fact, I can't remember what game it is that came out. This is Kurushi, which I just cannot, as you've just seen. I need to learn to play that game. But there's a game that's come out that's an indie game at the moment, and I can't remember what it's called. But the main character's gay, and it's just kind of referenced to, but There is no like special gay superpower. There's no anything, and actually that's how something should be. It's nice to have it so that actually, do you know what? It's not an issue if someone is gay, or if say they've done a game where one of the characters was in a wheelchair. It should just be part of the game. It shouldn't be the be all and end all of something. Because this is Hogs of War, Rick Mail doing Worms, basically, only in 3D. And before Worms decided to try the 3D with like Worms forts and stuff, I have to say I prefer Worms in a 2D form. I really do. I'll be interested to see what they do with the next iteration when it goes. They seem to flick between 2 and 3D. I think we'll do another 3D go at something soon. So I'll be interested to see how they deal with it. They should mix it up a bit if they're going to try 3D. I don't know, do it on a conveyor belt or something. Same as like talking about gays and lesbians in gaming. You don't. It would be nice to have women that run around that aren't supposed to be these sexy, beautiful, heavily boobed women. I know Beyond is taking that kind of approach where actually it's just a flat-chested girl running around, and that seems to be celebrated quite a bit. This is Sonic Transformed All-Stars Racing, which I have to say is one of my favourite games, I would say, of the last 5 years. I could not recommend, if I had to recommend a kart game in the last few years, it would be this one. I can't recommend it enough. This is Rush, which is a puzzle game from the PC, which is also rather amazing as well, just for having that mechanic where you can see exactly where all of your blocks are going, where you map out their paths. Yeah, I mean, I suppose I'm being a bit double standardy as we now watch Pandemonium. Well, I don't know if I would, because if my gaming character was a slightly overweight, middle-aged woman with glasses who, when you leave her idle, scratches her bum because she's a bit bored, I would be so intrigued at that that it would keep me playing. I remember, because it seems to be alright for like middle-aged guys to be fat. There's a Spectrum game that I've got called Chubby Gristle, which is a fat car parky. You just have to go around and feed him. Great game. And if you're going to be the comedy value in a game, you're allowed to be fat then. It's like in fighters, almost always, apart from a couple of exceptions, the fat one is the powerful but slow one. This is a biathlon game, which again I had to import in from Germany. RTL seemed to release German-specific winter sports games. Make of that what you will. Actually, the biathlon one was alright and quite good fun. And a good precursor to those slightly low-budget winter and summer star games, which normally have quite a cringeworthy story, which makes it all the more playable. This is Project 03, which I know it's called Project Zero in the UK, but they're not called it elsewhere. I can't remember what else they're called. Fantastic mechanic of photographing ghosts to kill them. So scary, so creepy, so well done. Rivaled pretty much by the Siren games currently now on consoles, and then it seems to have become like a real growing trend that scary games, and then watching the walkthroughs of people playing them and cracking themselves on YouTube, that's really taken off as like a little mini genre. Crash 3! Oh, they bring back Crash. I know I keep banging on about old mascots, but they're mascots for a reason. I suppose you could argue they're old for a reason as well. But I get the sense that maybe this next generation, there is a hint of games going back to a commodity that you don't often get in gaming so much anymore, which is actually conveying joy. A lot of it is about being miserable and being angry and shooting people. Actually, I'd quite like to be challenged with some joy and some fun. This is R-Type final. Going to shooty ups. I think my parting shot for everyone is play the games you enjoy, the games that give you happiness and that interest you and keep you very amused. Be that with your head, because it's a puzzler. Be that with your rage, because you just had to kill loads of people and you're quite happy about it because it's calmed you down at the end of the day. Be that a rhythm action game because you just want to tub out a beat, as Spyro is here. Spyro's doing well though, now that he's come part of the Giants and all Skylanders stuff. That's something I've not got into at all yet. I may look at Skylanders when it goes cheap. I do like the collectible figurines. It reminds me of Eye of Judgment, where you had to collect all the cards and things, which didn't really take off massively well. Yeah, I don't think you should flame people for enjoying certain types of games. People may like an RPG like Grandia. People may like a quiz game or something like that. I think you can appreciate different types of games in different ways, and I don't think that anyone has a particular no one's taste is better than anyone else's. It's just a personal taste, and as soon as you feel that your taste is better than someone else's, then I'm afraid to me you've lost your opinion, because everyone's opinion is equal. You may be uninformed, but you still will feel strongly about something. And that's why I think with my channel I try to go out of my way to avoid many arguments on it. This is Beat Hazard, by the way. I do like games the way you can put in your own CD and MP3 collection and it does something with it. You'll notice that as a running theme as well. I would also delete any requests for downloading of games. Go and buy them. I've had to. I've had to save up bloody thousands of pounds for the games that I've bought over my lifetime. I fully expect everyone else to do the same. Support your gaming industry. Like most industries in the world at the moment, things are kind of hanging on pickup sticks, and maybe not your big developers, but those that are on the borderline could really do with us right now. This is Landmaker, which is a puzzler. I don't know if you actually get to see gameplay, we're just going through menus at the moment. I'm always happy to chat with people, either through YouTube or through Twitter.
Maldonado thing, they thought
Mario Party. Again, party games to the front. I'm more than happy to chat about all different types of games, why I like certain things over others. Gaming tips, I'm more than happy to do. I won't be happy if you troll me and just go, you know what, you're really crap. That's a fair assumption. It's probably true for most of my videos, but actually I value something where it says, oh, do you know, if you'd have turned left there's actually a secret chest, because then it becomes a running thing for people that are watching the video afterwards, because then your comment adds value, and do you know what, people appreciate that so much more than you just trolling. This is Driven to Destruction, which I've just finished a playthrough of. Seems to have gone down quite popularly, actually. I didn't realise that this game had so many fans. And that's something that I do like, because when I think that I feel that I've got a game that is really not obscure, but not one of the ones that you see championed quite a lot, it does warm me to know that actually other people played it too. I genuinely do enjoy everyone's comments when they say, oh, I love this game, this game was my childhood, and things like that. This is Kirby 64.
The test was starting while lots of teams.
because it does. It genuinely makes me smile
packing
because
So if we'd wanted a secret test, we would have gone off.
there's that
somewhere
connection,
else to find us.
I suppose.
So I think it's a bit of innuendo that's unfortunate.
I think that's
but
important to
there
everyone.
we all know an issue with the tyres. and
So-
we were trying to help Pirelli resolve that issue, which was the delamination.
The beer is done.
And the problems
A
there.
bit warm
Plus,
by the end of that.
Pirelli have started work
I'm pretty
on
much coming to an
next
end
year's
here.
tyres. We don't know what we were testing. When they,
I hope this
presented
hasn't
the
been
test program to
horrificaally
all the
boring
tyres
for
we wanted,
everyone.
so they
I
just
haven't even got a
asked us,
clue what I
as
said.
they do in other tyre testers test out
All I
what
can
we
see
do
is
on
I've got
the-
just over a minute left, so I better wrap it up. The final game on here is Ribbit King, which is the best golf game in the history of golf games, because it's not even golf, it's frolf. What crazed person decided to get a picnic bag called Pickwick and then just mallet a frog and hope that it gets a hole in one? But actually, if you miss it and you end up in the water, that's fine too. How could you not love the game like that? Anyway, you guys all take care. Thank you so much for subscribing and commenting and watching and helping me slowly build a small little community up with everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. I can intend to do it for many a year to come. And yeah, have a fab weekend, evening, morning, day at work, wherever you're hiding away. And take care for now. And watch the Pickwick dance at the end. Do it with him.